That's a good ass
Hey yo,
job.
it's Jay with Good Ass Job back again. And today we're going to do a little reaction video about this lady talking about the downsides of being a data analyst. I'm a data analyst, so I can speak to it. So I just want to give my 2 cents into it. So let's get right into it.
Thank you, HubSpot, for sponsoring this video. Data analyst has been one of the hottest careers out there. It gets a lot of attention from content creators, course creators, and everybody who is interested in starting a career in tech. However,
that's true too. But data analysts, business analysts, these jobs aren't really tech. They tech adjacent, and you do need to know certain skills like SQL, Python, some extreme Excel, a lot of Viz tools such as Tableau, Power BI, but it's still not really quite considered tech.
the problem is that you only get to see the glamorous side of being a data analyst.
And that's true too. A lot of people think that being a business analyst, data analyst, and depending on the company, they're kind of interchangeable, because I've been a business analyst while I was doing data analyst stuff. So it just depends on the company you work at. But a lot of it is very tedious.
I am dedicating this video to talk about the unglamorous side, the harsh reality of being a data analyst. So anybody who is considering a career in data analytics can make a well-rounded decision. I have been in the industry for over 10 years across various data science roles, including data engineering, data scientist, data analytics. So I have seen it all, well, for the most part. There are 3 points that I'll be covering in this video. By no means this video is to bash the data analytics job family. It is primarily created to shed light on some of the difficult things that data analysts have to deal with once they start a career as a data analyst. So what are those harsh realities of data analysts? Well, let's start with number 1. Data analyst is not a tech role. Well,
that's what I was just saying. It's not really tech. Business analysts, data analysts, all these type of jobs, they're more on the admin side, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is, so to be considered tech in the data stuff, you would be like a data scientist or a data engineer, which requires a little bit more technical knowledge. Like for data engineers, they're building out the entire data warehouses and data lakes and all of that. Whereas when you're a data analyst or a business analyst, you're mostly just querying the database. But on the engineer side, they're actually building and maintaining the databases. That's why it's a lot more technical and is considered more of a tech role. Whereas business analyst, data analyst, you're kind of just on the admin side. Like you work a lot with stakeholders, and on the business side, making sure or providing insights to various things and handling completely random ad hoc requests from some stakeholder that just want to see a dashboard, and you can build this crazy dashboard, and he's like the only person in the whole company that even looks at it. So it's a lot more tedious stuff, but it's not as technical.
You must be wondering why that is the case, because as a data analyst, you have to learn SQL and Python and some other coding language in some cases. So why is...
And that's going to depend on the company too. I work as an analyst, I've worked for companies where I wasn't using nothing but Excel. And I'm not talking about just like basic Excel. I'm talking like a little more intermediate to expert level Excel stuff. And then I worked places where I was using Excel, SQL, and Teradata. And then I've worked places where I had to use a little bit of Python. I had to set up ETLs and do SSRS and different things like that. So it just depends on what the company has that you're going to be working with. And some companies use Power BI only. Some companies use Tableau. Some companies only want to see dashboards in Excel. So it depends which one of those skills you're going to need. It really depends on the company you work for, but it don't hurt to learn a little bit about all of them.
Is this not considered a tech role? The problem is, and this is something that I learned after starting a career, is that in the system at these companies, data analyst is not considered a tech role. Thus, the salary is not reflective of a tech role salary, which means that your pay will be lower than tech roles in general. And
that's true too. Like I said, a data engineer gonna make way more than say a data analyst or a business analyst. It just is what it is, because it's more on the admin side.
Those tech roles could be data engineer, data scientist, software engineer. And some of you might be like, this is unfair, but this is actually the reality. However, you're not going to find this out until you actually start working and you start realizing that this is how it is labeled in the system.
And when it comes to data scientists, that's a lot more heavy on the predictive programming, predictive modeling, really going to need a strong data or statistics background for that. Also dependent on the company you work for. Sometimes you could be a data analyst doing data scientist stuff. It really, these terms, business analyst, data analyst, data scientist, they're very different depending on the company you work for.
Now, this information, I wish like more people knew about it before they jumping into the data analyst field. And to be honest, I find it a little bit unfair because no other non-tech role requires that you know coding, especially this much. As a data analyst, you get to spend a lot of your time writing SQL, sometimes Python. So why not consider it as a technical role?
And that's a fact too. At my current job right now, I'm the only person that there that knows SQL, the only person that knows Python. People don't even know what those things are, but I'm querying databases. We don't even have a database set up where I'm at, but our vendor, I got to query their that database at the vendor. The vendor is basically our data engineer. They set it up, they monitor, maintain it, but the staff, the people, people that they service can query it themselves, or you can pay extra to have them query it for you. But since I know how to query it, we don't got to pay the extra. But so you do need to learn SQL or know SQL, Python, and all these other things, but it's still not considered tech. It's weird.
Pay accordingly. I'm not sure why exactly it is the case. Maybe because it's SQL and a lot of people don't consider SQL as a coding language. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about it?
SQL is easy to learn. I want to say it's probably the easiest programming language to learn, because you just query in a database, whereas something like C++ or these other languages, they have a lot steeper learning curve, I would think. But if you can learn SQL, you can learn Python. If you can learn Python, you can learn C. And because all languages are different, but if you understand the foundations of a programming language, I think you can learn any language. It really just depends on if you want to or not.
SQL being a coding language and data analyst not being a data analyst on the tech career ladder, but that's the reality. The second reason, and this is going to actually sound odd because it's actually a good thing, but there are consequences. Data analyst is one of those careers where you actually don't need to go to school. You can just take online courses. You can actually just watch YouTube videos and become a data analyst. There are so much content out there on SQL, Python, Excel. That internet is filled with data analyst curriculum and data analyst tutorials, and that is teaching you how to become a data analyst.
That's a fact. Every time I need help with something, I just go to YouTube, or these days it's more so ChatGPT or Gemini. But anytime when I was first learning, it was Stack Overflow all the time, YouTube all the time, just trying to figure stuff out. Like, why is my query not running? Just stuff like that. Yeah, you can definitely learn it a lot online by yourself. But honestly, I think the best place to learn is at work, because I learned SQL at work.
The barrier to entry is very low. Including myself, I've shared several roadmaps. Honestly, maybe I'm biased, but it's not that hard to become a data analyst. It's not that difficult to learn Excel.
I don't think it's that hard either. She's right.
SQL, some other reporting tool, and become a data analyst. Even the people who are not data analysts will learn these tools and start calling themselves data analysts. Anyone and everyone can be a data analyst if they want to. Now, this results in a problem that there is a surplus of data analysts in the market.
But also, I need to touch on this. Knowing the skills, knowing how to query a database, knowing how to make some report in Excel, that's not enough to be a business or a data analyst. When it comes to being a business or a data analyst, to be a good one, knowing the tool is not enough. You got to actually know the business somewhat that you're working for, because to provide good insights, you need to know how the business operates. You need to be able to parse all of this data and spot something that you really wouldn't notice unless you're familiar with the business. That's why I say it's more on the admin side than the tech side, because the deeper you go in tech, I would say the least involved you are in the day-to-day operations side of the business, or you're not dealing with stakeholders that much. You're probably just mostly dealing with a product owner who's telling you what to build. But when it comes to being a data analyst, a business analyst, you kind of have to be entrenched somewhat in the operations of the business, so you know what's going on, so that when you're putting these reports together, you can spot things that make sense to you, that you can basically relay that back to the stakeholders. So for instance, when I was working in casino analytics, I had to go shadow a lot of different pillars of various businesses, because sometimes I would be working on restaurant stuff. Sometimes I would be working on table game stuff, or just various things. So I'm not very familiar with how this restaurant operates. So I have to go shadow and sit with the manager for a period of time to figure out how this restaurant works before I'm able to understand and deliver any valuable insights based on the data that I'm getting. So I can sit with a restaurant for like a week or something, a job shadow, see what's going on. And then I can go look at the data and say, based on how you guys operate and based on this data, you guys should not be open for breakfast, because we're losing money the way you guys are open for breakfast. I sat here for a week straight and I see how slow it is for breakfast, and I see how many people we got staffed. And based on the data, I can prove to you that we should not be open for breakfast at this particular restaurant. So that's the type of stuff you have to do as a business and data analyst. You have to become more entrenched in the operation side. And you don't really have to do that more so on the tech side, if that makes sense.
especially at the entry level, which means that your job search process, especially as an entry level data analyst, is going to be very, very competitive. You have to be top of the top. I don't know if that's even a thing, top of the top to be able to stand out in your job search process as a data analyst. Now, this I'm talking about somebody who is just new to the industry. I don't know, like maybe some of you can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, but as far as I've seen is that entry level data analyst is one of the hardest jobs to get your foot in the door. There's so much competition because there's a lot of people who are becoming data analysts. You have to be top tier to land a job as a data analyst, especially in today's market. Now,
maybe that's true, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do know entry-level business data analysts, you're going to be doing a lot of just random stuff that's not fun, like cleaning a lot of data, doing random ad hoc requests. It ain't that glamorous.
This is something that you don't learn when somebody's telling you their course to become a data analyst or somebody's telling you the roadmap to become a data analyst. Even I have explored this information, not on purpose, but this is actually the reality and you should be aware of it. Well, on the topic of data analyst skills and coding, I wanted to share this Intro to Python ebook, which is a beginner guide for learning Python for data analysis and focuses on libraries such as Panda and NumPy and more. This ebook is created by HubSpot, who is also sponsoring this portion of the video. The ebook covers libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, which are essential libraries for data analysis. It walks you through basic, linking the ebook in the description below after they start working as a data analyst. And after a while, they realize that a lot of people end up leaving the data analyst career ladder. There are a few reasons why. A large chunk of people see data analyst as a transition career path. They see it as an entry point to become something, to transition to something else later, such as...
that depends on the person. I think that varies person to person. So for me, like, I don't care about job titles. I care about money. So I don't care if my title is business analyst, data analyst, whatever. As long as I'm getting paid what I want to be paid, I don't really care about the title. So I don't know if people are using the analyst thing to step up or go to something else. So I can't really make a great comment on that because I really don't know. I'm not sure. I can only speak for myself and what I've seen. I've seen people go from business analyst to senior analyst to data analyst and then be content there. And I've seen people go from data analyst to completely changing career fields, but doing analyst stuff. A lot of people go from business analyst to project manager. Right now, I'm working on getting my PMP because I want to go more towards the project management side. So it just depends on the person, I would say.
As product manager, data scientist, data engineer, or something else. There is nothing wrong with transitioning into a different career. Even for people who use data analyst as a transition career, there's nothing wrong with it. The problem is that people who are picking the data analyst career path as their long-term career path is going to end up seeing a lot of people besides them leave the job family, transition out to different job families. And this is very, very demotivating. As somebody who has seen a lot of the data scientists transition out to different job families, I can tell you this is pretty demotivating. Yes, there are a lot of people who transition out of the data scientist job family, but even a larger amount transition out from the data analyst job family. A lot of the data analysts cap at senior data analysts. You will rarely see people who are principal data analysts or...
That's a fact too. Like once you get to senior data analyst or senior analyst, the next step up is to be managing people because there ain't really nothing above, senior data analysts as far as I've seen.
Staff data analyst, you won't come across those people many times because the chances are that you will be peaking at a senior data analyst level and might have to transition out, whether because of your personal reasons or because there is no career growth beyond that. All right.
Yeah, really, senior analyst on the business analyst or data analyst side that's really the cap. She's right about that. 100% sure, 100%. Because based on my experiences, senior analyst, and then once you senior, I mean, there ain't nothing left to do but try to become a manager somewhere or become a senior analyst somewhere else and make more money. One of my homegirls, she went from senior analyst to associate vice president at a bank, and then she went back to senior analyst somewhere. Well, I don't know if she went back to senior analyst, but yeah, you got to move around. I mean, that's just what it is. You got to move around. A lot of your skills are transferred from senior analyst to other stuff too. So like I said, she went from senior analyst to associate vice president at a bank doing similar stuff, but it's just the title was different.
My bonus reason, which is not, honestly, it's going to sound really petty, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's how people see it. Among the data science job family, data analyst job family is considered less prestigious than data scientist and data engineer. I feel horrible saying this, but this is the reality.
I mean, that's a fact. Like I was saying earlier, data engineer, you're maintaining and building databases, whereas in data scientists, you're actually doing a lot more predictive modeling and things like that. So yeah, they are more prestigious. This is what it is. I don't see why you feel bad about that. That's just the facts.
Reality, and you might have some people look down upon you. Actually, those people might be data scientists and data engineers. So just leaving it.
I never had nobody look down upon me. It's just different roles, There's different roles. Like nobody really looks down upon you. Yeah, I can't say anybody I've seen anybody doing that. Nobody's going on like, oh, I'm a data scientist, I'm a data engineer, you're just a little analyst. Nobody's ever done that. If anything, they're willing to help you. Because I know when I was just a regular and business analyst, I was kicking it with a lot of the data engineers, the people that were maintaining the databases. It was all Indian dudes, and they was all teaching me like some of the stuff they was doing. They didn't have no problems doing that, so I learned a lot from them on the data engineer side.
Out here, and then we're not talking about this more. Despite all the negatives, data analyst is a great career to be in, especially if this is something that you enjoy doing. There is nothing better than doing something that you're passionate about. Every job family has some negatives and some positives. These are some of the negatives that I've noticed for the data analyst job letter, and I wanted to create a video and share it with you all. And if you're interested in becoming a data analyst,
yeah, I'm gonna just kill it there. But yeah, that's a fact. Everything she was saying was pretty much spot on. The thing with being a data analyst or a business analyst, what a lot of people don't really think about is that, like I was saying earlier, the fact that you do interact with stakeholders a lot. You do need to be entrenched in the business operations somewhat to kind of know what's going on and know what data you're looking at and know how to recommend options and everything like that. So not only do you need to have good hard skills like knowing the SQL, knowing Tableau, knowing the Excel, and maybe Python, you also need to have really good soft skills to be able to communicate with these stakeholders and explain to people different things about the business and the data that you're looking at and how it pertains to the operations. I've done meetings with C-suite executives to explain how a dashboard works, or like why I built this dashboard in a particular way and what insights they can take from it. And yeah, so you really got to be good at communicating with stakeholders and doing a lot of things. You're not just sitting in the back of a room with your headphones in, querying databases and just shooting the reports back to people. It's not really like that. It's a lot of hands-on. If you're not really a people person, it's probably not for you. If you just want to sit back in a room and code and not be bothered, you probably want to be a data engineer or a data scientist probably. So yeah, that's that. But that's all I got for y'all. I just wanted to react to that video. If you need help putting a budget together or anything of that nature, link in the description. Hit me up. Leave a like. Leave a like to, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering all over the place. Leave a like for the algorithm for me. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you're trying to become a data analyst, ask me a question, because this is something I've been doing for a while. I can help you out. Also, if you want to build up some data skills or just tech skills in general, hit the link in the description for Data Camp, because they have a lot of good tools and practices for you to be able to work on those skills. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Let's, yeah, peace.